You ever scroll through social media and suddenly feel like everyone's winning except you? That friend from high school? Married, 2 kids, living in a house that looks like it fell out of a magazine. That old coworker, traveling the world, smiling in every photo like they've got life all figured out. It's enough to make you wonder, what am I doing wrong? But here's a thought that might just free you. You don't know what's really going on behind those smiles. Stoicism has something powerful to say about this, something we forget way too easily. Seneca, one of the most grounded minds of ancient times, reminded us that people suffer more in imagination than in reality. But when it comes to relationships, especially the ones we observe from a distance, we flip that around. We imagine people are happier than they are. We build stories around strangers' lives and then punish ourselves for not measuring up to our own fiction. You think they're happy because they look happy, but joy doesn't always smile, and peace doesn't always post. What you're really seeing is the curated version, the highlight reel. Not the sleepless nights, not the arguments, not the doubts, insecurities, or silent questions, and certainly not the work it takes to hold things together. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own soul, our own judgment, our own choices, not the illusions we're fed. So instead of envying their filtered life, maybe it's time to ask, am I building something real, something steady in mine? Because chasing what looks good will never beat creating what feels right. You're not behind, you're just waking up. Here's the wild part. Sometimes the people we envy are envying us. Think about that for a second. While you're silently questioning your worth, someone else might be admiring your patience, your resilience, the way you carry yourself through hard days. Stoicism cuts through all that noise and reminds us no one escapes the human experience. No one gets a free pass from struggle. They just dress it up differently. We forget that a beautiful relationship isn't about matching Instagram aesthetics. It's about emotional honesty. It's about whether you can sit with someone in silence and still feel understood, whether you can disagree without tearing each other down, whether you grow together, even when it's uncomfortable. That's not the kind of stuff you can filter. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Not in a self-punishing way, but in a keep your side of the street clean kind of way. Because when you're constantly chasing someone else's happiness, you're not really present in your own life. You're outsourcing your peace to other people's performances. And look, it's not about being cynical, it's about being real. People are messy, relationships are hard, love is work. But if you're always looking outward, you'll miss the beauty in your own becoming. The Stoics didn't chase illusions, they built character. They weren't worried about appearances, they were concerned with truth. And truth? It's quieter than you think. It lives in the everyday effort, the conversations that don't make it online, the quiet loyalty when no one's watching. So next time you catch yourself thinking they've got it all figured out, pause, breathe, remember what's real. You're not missing out. You're just in a different chapter. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous traps in relationships: comparison. You meet someone, things feel good, maybe even great, but then you start comparing to your ex, to your friend's partner, to what you think love should look like, and suddenly You're not in the relationship anymore, you're in your head, measuring it against expectations that were never even yours. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The same goes for relationships. It's not about how they stack up against others, it's about how they align with your values. Are you being treated with kindness? Are you growing? Are you at peace when you're around them? Or are you constantly chasing some imaginary standard? Here's the truth that stings a little. When you judge your relationship by how it looks to others, you abandon the one person who actually has to live it, you. And that's where a lot of quiet resentment builds. Because deep down you know when something isn't real. You feel it when conversations become performances, when affection becomes strategy, when being together feels more like being seen than being safe. Stoicism calls us back to inner clarity. It tells us to measure by our own compass, not the crowd's applause. The world can't define your relationship. Only you and the person in it can. So maybe it's time to stop asking, "Do we look happy?" and start asking, "Are we being honest?" That question right there, that's where the work begins. That's where the good stuff lives. Here's a question we don't ask enough. Am I showing up the way I expect others to show up for me? We spend so much time analyzing the other person, what they said, how they acted, if they're meeting our needs, but rarely do we turn the mirror around. Stoicism isn't about blame, it's about ownership. And when it comes to relationships, that's everything. You can't control how someone loves you, how they respond, or whether they stay. But you can control your integrity, your effort, your tone when you're upset, the way you handle disappointment without turning it into punishment. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Relationships are full of things you can't control: timing, moods, histories, triggers. But your patience, your presence, your ability to listen without needing to win the moment, that's all you. You're becoming. And the more you anchor into who you are, the less you'll need others to convince you you're worthy. Keep showing up. Keep doing the inner work. That's the love story that matters most. You've got this.